Hello, friend. Good morning to all of you. I am T. Sivoyan, Assistant Professor and Head, late Pushpadevi Patil Arts and Science College, Riso. Today, we are going to learn a poem that is Between These Lines. This poem is prescribed by Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University, Amravati, to be a second year English literature students. And this poem is written by well-known Malayalam poet who wrote his work in his own vernacular language. His name is S. Joseph. Born in 1965, as we know, he is a contemporary poet and wrote four acclaimed poetry collection in his own mother tongue, and then these collections were translated into English. The present poem Between These Lines is also a translated one. It is written by Joseph in his vernacular, we can say a mother tongue, in Malayalam language. But later on, this poem is translated by A.J. Thomas in English. As a contemporary writer who present the contemporary issues of common people, we can say an Indian community, most probably a Malayalam community, in his writing. His writing is always motivative. His writing is always giving more credential to the common society. So he received the Kanakasri Award from the Kerala Sahitya Academy as a writer. He received Kanakasri Award from the Kerala Sahitya Academy. His second and third books were on the short list of the best Malayalam books of the year in noted journals, and his most recent volume, Upante Kuval Varakunnu, won the Thiruvananthapuram Book Fair Award for one of the 10 best books of the year 2009. He works as a lecturer in Malayalam at Maharaja's College, Ernakulam. He is the professor, we can say a lecturer in one Maharaja College for the subject of Malayalam language. And so that he has written so many poems in Malayalam, and these poems are translated. See, the present poem, originally published in Malayalam, what is the title of present poem? Between These Lines. We will deal to the title also. So Between These Lines, the poem originally published in Malayalam. In the collection, what is the name of that collection? Identity Card. See, the collection itself is presenting the identity of that community, that society, that area, that region. So, identity card. This poem is published in Identity Card in 2005 and translated into English by A.J. Thomas. The poem seems simple on the surface, but is a complex exploration of the relationship between writer and reader. See, once again I will tell. When we study or see the poem, we think this is a simple poem. But when we deeply thought, or what we can say, we introspect on this poem, then we come to know that this poem is a complex exploration of the relationship between writer and reader. This is also the complex relationship between creator and audience. Creator and audience. The easy perimeter of the poem leads to the punchline of the end, where reader and writer both seem to either merge or disappear into the writing itself. Now we are going to see the text. It is so simple poem. It has a 4 stanza only. The words are simple. The meanings poet have presented is also simple. What is the theme, basic theme of this poem? According to me, there might be multiple meaning as many readers, but according to me, the meaning of this poem is like a new criticism. The poem, the text is mean, not be. These lines has its own meaning. Reader and writer are not present here. Writer is unknown as well as reader also is unknown. The words on these slides, the lines on these slides are giving meaning to us. And these meanings are multiple, changeable according to the reader, because these are the situational. See, now I will read the poem. Between these lines, sometimes I and sometimes you may cease to exist. See, a free meter we do not, what we can say, control his writing with, or we can say by using any metrical structure. It has a free meter. We cannot observe but we can say a rhyming scheme or rhyming words also. Very simple. First sentence we can say. Between these lines, which lines that we are observing on the slide? Between these lines, it is also the title of the poem. Sometimes I means a writer. Sometimes I means a writer, and sometimes you means a reader. We are the reader. May cease to exist. So what is the meaning of cease? Cease means stop. So in these lines these lines of the poem never shows our identity. We can say never shows poet's own identity. Poet is not exist here. Poet is dead here. His work is finished. Now it is the work of reader to take the meaning from these lines. So sometimes I and sometimes you means reader, make keys to exist. Keys means stop. See in the next line, poet is saying we. We means I and you, reader and writer, writer and reader. We are not acquainted with each other. Yes, writer and reader are never acquainted with each other. Both are unknown to one another. And that poet is presenting here. We are not acquainted with each other. We might have seen each other in the town or on the beach. See what poet is saying. Poet is saying that the writer, how writes? The writer writes his poem or he present his own, what we can say, creation in the world by observing the society, by taking the experiences happening around him. He never write any text on a particular incident or a particular event. That particular event become a general. It become a general when he write or he present his thought in a word. That's why he is saying we might have seen each other in the town or on the beach. So this poem has a topographical effect because the poet, the writer of this poem is from Kerala. And in the Kerala there are so many beaches like a town. Most of the people visited that beaches, and that's why poet is saying that usually we go out to buy something, to do some work in the town or on the beach, and at that time there are so many people in that crowd, and we met, means we saw each other there, but we are not aware of one another. We never acquainted to everyone. They are unknown to us in the crowd. And in that way he is saying we might have seen each other, only seen, not acquainted. Seen means only we observe to each other, but we are unknown in the town or on the beach. It might be you who stood holding the railing of the bridge, watching someone angling down below. See, he is presenting that experience. Which experience? The experience that poet got in a coastal area on a beach. It might be you means a reader. There are so many people who stood holding the railing of the bridge. On the bridge we are observing the sea, and in the sea there are so many fishermen who are fishing, angling, fishing the fishes in the sea. who stood holding the railing of the bridge, watching someone angling down below. Below means in the sea. So, in the crowd, there are so many people. Some of them are writer, most of them are reader. Reader see the writer, but they are unknown about that writer's identity. Writer sees the reader in society, but he is unknown of them. He don't know what they are feeling, what is going on in their mind. Writer write what he experiences, what he feels. He present that in the word. And that's why poet is saying that reader is also absent, that he will say at the end of the poem. Reader is also absent in these lines, and writer is also absent in these lines. So these lines themselves have their own identity. These lines themselves have their own meaning. See, angling down below. Or we must have met somewhere while going out to buy meat or medicines. We are just ordinary people, aren't we? Poet is asking a question, rhetoric question. We are just ordinary people, aren't we? But we try to do extraordinary things. What poet is saying? What poet says? We are a common people. We are a common people. We are a common people. We perform our day-to-day activities. And while performing our day-to-day activities, we meet too many unknown people. We always go go on to the shop to buy a meat. On that shop we met so many peoples, but they are not acquainted to us. They might be a writer or most probably the reader in their life. Also we go to buy a medicine, and on medical shop also there is a crowd, but we are not known to each other. Because we are ordinary people, we are common men, and common people have to perform their regular routine. They have to do all these things. We are just ordinary people. That's why he is asking also, aren't we? If we not ordinary people, then we would have not performed these day-to-day routines, isn't it? But what poet want to focus here, that we are ordinary, but we want to show the society we are not ordinary, we are the extraordinary. And how we show that? We show that extraordinariness in ourselves by doing some, what we can say, adventurous things. For example, according to the writer, you means a reader, drive a vehicle in 1965 or 67, 1980, 90. Driving a vehicle was an adventurous. There were no too many vehicles. Nowadays there are so many vehicles in our hands. Everyone knows how to drive, but in those days vehicles are rare in the society. And what writer is writing, what writer is saying, you shows your extraordinariness by driving a vehicle or open a shop. In those days people were also not businessmen. We are performing our, what we can say, inherited jobs, inherited works, inherited business. Farmer's son will be a farmer. So in that way, in those days there were no so many businessmen, and no one means a few of them were opening a shop of something else, making use of a loan. Nowadays, everyone wants to make a business by taking a loan from any nationalized bank. But in those days, there were no such things in 1965. And that's why poet is saying that we show our extraordinary nature by doing such extraordinary things. What was the extraordinary? To drive a vehicle, to open a shop by taking a loan from the bank, or by passing any exam, because in those days there were also not a literacy, full literacy like today's world. That's why if the person who have buy a vehicle, everyone will watch him, will respect him, will salute him. Also the person or a student who passed any exam, 12th or 10th, or what we can say a BA graduate student, so everyone in the society respect them. They, in the society he become an extraordinary, a different one. But nowadays it is not like that. You sing a song, if there is any singer, then it also have a value in the society by saying that he has an extraordinary qualities. I try to write poems. So we are the ordinary people and we shows our extraordinariness by doing such things. Why? By driving a vehicle, opening a shop, or passing any exam, or singing a song. In that way, I am also an ordinary man, but I show my extraordinariness by writing poems. Who is saying? Writer is saying. I show my extraordinariness by writing poems. Again, poet says in the concluding stanza, our actions may outlive us, means our actions have a value in the society. No one will remember us after our death. We will forget in the society. But if we have performed any good activity, any good action that is useful to the society, then definitely everyone will remember us. So in that way, poet is saying that our actions may outlive us, or our actions make us an extraordinary person, extraordinary personality. We should not to follow, we should not to follow the same path as the crowd is following. We have to create something new in that crowded path. So and then society will remember us. So in that way, poet is saying our actions may outlive us. I will cease to exist in the middle of my writing. Poet is saying that I will not exist myself in this writing, and you in the middle of your reading, and you also should not take the meaning of this poem according to your own way. You also should think that this poem is a general one and presenting the problem of the society, a general society. It is not related to you, it is not related to writer. So the creator and the audience doesn't exist in this poem. So this is the, what we can say, a short but sweet summary of this poem between these lines. In this poem, poet also have used some symbols, some figures of speech, but a poem is very simple. It has what we can say a few lines, 4 5 stanzas, nothing else. So read it properly and face the exam. Thank you.